I'm gonna basically just do a quick rundown of what I've been working on recently, and then kind of give you guys an idea of what I need help with. So, can everybody see my screen? Okay. Okay. So, so basically, I took all the 3D scans that I took over the last couple weekends, and then assembled them all together in one big file. And so this is just a lot of Mustang stuff. So this is the lower control arm from the Mustang, the upright from the Mustang, the axle shaft that you modeled, Ryan, and the wheel bearing and all that stuff all together in space where it should be. And then these little bolts here, these are where the stock Mustang suspension, like chassis side mounting points are. So that's where it is stock. And so I have two different versions of this. So I have one left side and one right side, but the right side is all flipped. So this iteration will work a lot better to fit in our car just for space wise. Here is the undersides of the body scans from my car put into where it all would work out. So you can kind of see this part of the upright fits a little bit better into the strut tower area up there, whereas this left side is the actual Mustang. This is how it properly is, but you can see this guy's gonna hit right here as it goes up in the suspension. So basically what I'm doing is I'm categorizing here. I'll show you. Actually, I also have the diff here, and that's where it's going to sit in space. So I tried to get it as close to this frame rail as possible without having to cut too much, and so it's a little bit off. So this is the axle line, center of axle line, and this is the center of the diff line. So it's a little, ideally those are on the same plane and same collinear, but I just don't have the space to move it up anymore. But so basically what I'm doing is I've taken so far is I've taken these points from the stock Mustang geometry and the flip Mustang geometry, and I've entered them into this software. I know, Jackson, you've seen this and worked with it for a little bit, but here is, let's see. Okay, so this is the stock Mustang geometry. This is my, like, you can kind of save each file for different setups. So this is the stock Mustang, and then I can that's what all these points are, is in 3D space. Basically, for each of these mounting points it has an X, Y, and Z location, and so that's what each of these equate to, basically. And then you can kind of see the simplified version of everything over here. So what that does is basically I enter all these points in here, and then I get this kind of cool visual, but it also gives me all the data points for how the suspension is gonna basically operate through its whole travel, and it gives me all these different graphs. So like bump steer, camber angle, roll camber, all this stuff as the suspension moves throughout its whole range of motion. It tells me where the camber is at each point, basically. And so there's 3 lines here. So one line is stock Mustang, one is that flipped version on the right side, and then one is like an optimized version. So what's cool about this software is I can go into here, this section of the Excel spreadsheet, and I can enter in my current chassis points, like the X, Y, and Z for what I'm currently at, and then I can have the software optimize those points to get as close to my target values as I possibly can. So like I'll set my bump steer, I want it to be 0, my camber gain to be -30 degrees per meter, etc. And then I can run this optimization software, and it'll give me readouts for like down here. This is the new optimized version, and so these are all my new pickup points basically. And then these new pickup points give me these data attributes of the suspension. It like meets these requirements, and so then I can just load that optimized data back into the dashboard, and that's where I get reference 3, optimized 3 here. So now I have the optimized version of my chassis points, and that's kind of where I'm stuck now. So I'm kind of stuck at this point because I don't really know each of these graphs. I don't know what's best. I don't really know what I'm looking at exactly. Like I know bump steer I want to be 0 as close as possible, and camber kind of want it to look like this, but roll steer, toe angle, roll center height, and jounce, like I don't really know what I'm looking at. So I'm thinking going forward, I'm gonna have you guys research some of this stuff, and I'll send you these graphs, and you can kind of tell me, okay, so we want it to look like this, or we want it to look like this, and then I can change the optimize program. I can change these numbers to then change these curves, and then give us our best possible geometry for the suspension. And then once we have those points, we'll put it back into SolidWorks, and we'll know where to start drawing our control arms from.